Okay, this is 1-4 day 1. And like I said, if you don't understand today and get a good grasp on it, you will fail the semester. No pressure.
Wait, what did you say?
Does the other class know that now?
Know what?
What did you
There's a microphone on.
You guys are kidding or
No?
not?
I didn't know, I didn't, something about failing the semester.
If you don't understand what we're doing today, you will fail the semester of trig.
Goo, alright, sorry for
Or if
asking a
it's
simple
talking
question.
like a million miles an hour, you refuse it.
Okay, back in geometry, we talked about 3 of the 6 trig functions. Do you remember what they were?
SOHCAHTOA.
SOHCAHTOA. What did the S stand for?
Couldn't tell ya.
The sine,
Oh,
cosine,
tangent.
and tangent. That was 3 of the trig functions. There are actually 6 of them. So you remember sine. How did we abbreviate sine?
So.
S-I-N.
S-I-N.
Oh, just kidding.
Cosine,
C-O-S.
C-O-S, and tangent,
T-A-N.
T-A-N.
Sorry, I was learning. It's okay.
Okay, the other 3, and I'm going to write them right across because there's going to be a relationship to them. So with sine, the other function is called, one of the other functions is cosecant. And the abbreviation for cosecant, we're going to use the C, the S, and the C.
That word just looks like a train, right?
Cosecant.
I don't think that's how you pronounce it.
Then there is secant, S-E-C, and then cotangent, C-O-T. Okay. So, what are these trig functions? These are the trig functions.
Idiot on time.
Trying to bring my brother home.
Just joking. Jamie, you don't have to explain yourself, Gus.
Are ratios, focus, ratios of an angle measure. Ratios meaning a fraction, we're going to divide. So we're going to put our, because all of our angles have been created by rotations, we're going to make a rotation. So we are going to take a ray, rotate it, stop, and talk about the angle, and then all the 6 trig ratios in there. So let me get a ray,
I feel like that's a lot is happening.
a rotation. Now how much that's rotated, the number of degrees that it's rotated, can be anything. And with trig, remember I said the Greeks started trig? Where algebra, what was the letter of choice in algebra for an unknown? X. In trig, the letter for the unknown, the common one, is theta. They use the Greek alphabet. It just stands for like an X. And the most common one is theta. Theta looks like this. So oval, up, standing tall with a line through it. It stands for like an X in algebra. The number of degrees. Austin.
Now, the ACT is after being blue.
All it is it's an unknown. It's just representing how much the rotation was. Could be 30 degrees, could be 45 degrees, could be 118 degrees. It's just how much it's rotated. Okay, so because I need to get ratios, I need to get some values here. So what we're going to do is take any point on this ray. It has an ordered pair, correct?
Yes.
X and Y. And what we're going to do with that is make a right triangle with it. How do we make a right triangle with it?
Go down.
Drop down back to the x-axis. What do I know about this horizontal side on my... No, this distance, what do we call it? It's an x distance because I went to the right. That distance is x. What's the vertical distance called? Y. So, and then the hypotenuse they choose to call R, and it's R for radius. Because if I took that point and spun it around, I'd make a circle, and that distance would give me the radius of the circle. So R is for the hypotenuse. Okay, you remember SOHCAHTOA from geometry, that phrase?
Yeah.
That will help you. Technically, the book doesn't get into SOHCAHTOA until chapter 2. What they do in chapter 1 here is focus all on X, Y, and R definitions. But we can use SOHCAHTOA to get the X, Y, and R definitions. So, SOHCAHTOA. What did the O stand for in SO?
Sign.
No, O. I'm on the O. This S is sign, obviously.
Oh, opposite.
Opposite leg. So we're always standing at the origin where my angle is at. I'm standing here, and O stands for opposite. What's the H stand for? Hypotenuse. Let's write these down first. Then we'll go back and apply the X, Y, and R. Cos, cosine, what did the A stand for? Adjacent. H again is always hypotenuse. O we already had, that was opposite, and A we already had adjacent. Okay, so like I said, we are always standing at the origin. So when I ask for the sine of theta, I want the sine ratio. What two sides of this triangle gives me the sine ratio? If I know it's opposite over hypotenuse. So what's the opposite of theta here? Y. And what's the hypotenuse?
R.
R. So the sine ratio is Y over R. Cosine of theta. Still standing at the origin. You told me adjacent over hypotenuse. If I'm standing here, what's considered the adjacent? X. And the hypotenuse is always R. And then tangent. You told me opposite over adjacent.
What is the pole looking thing called?
This is theta.
Paper up, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Theta. TH.
Oh, I'm
Theta.
It'll be Y over X. Theta.
It will be Y over X. Okay. Went through that quickly because you've seen this before. The three new functions are the reciprocals of these three. What does it mean to do a reciprocal? Flip them. And I paired them up. Sine and cosecant are reciprocals of each other. So the CSC of theta is going to be sine flipped over, so it's R over Y. Cosine's reciprocal is secant. So it is
Y over X.
R over X.
Oh.
And then tangent's reciprocal, that one's easy to remember because it's got the same name in it, cotangent. That one will be X over Y. Now, the way to remember, well, you know tangent and cotangent, they're paired up. But these ones, just always remember if you've got an S function, the reciprocal starts with a C. S and a C, same thing here, I've got an S and a C. So it's never S with S, never sine with secant, never cosine with cosecant. So that's kind of an easy way to remember what's what pairs up with what. Okay, we're almost there. I have to quit at a little before the 8, so I got like 5 minutes. Let me know when my 5 minutes is up.
Already there. Absolutely.
No. Okay.
Second hand.
So what we're going to do now is simplify this a little bit. We're going to look at what's called the unit circle. The unit circle, why they call it unit circle is because its radius.
Wait, is that dot in the middle supposed to be there?
Yep, because it's circle. Unit circle.
Excuse me now.
It is.
My dad's just
That doesn't belong there. Its radius equals 1. So if the radius is 1, we're on the unit circle. So what we're going to do is see what happens to those functions if my point xy is on the unit circle. So we're going to go back, make the same thing. I'm just going to look at quadrant 1, pretend here's my circle coming through here. So I tried to draw an arc representing the unit circle, radius is 1. So every point on this arc that I drew is a distance of 1 from the origin. I'm going to look at another angle, theta.
Oh, looks like you're failing.
You can't be lost until I'm all done. When I'm done, if you're still lost, then you need to panic. But don't panic right now. Okay, the point I'm going to pick on my ray here is the one that's on the unit circle. Still going to make the right triangle.
Wait, where did you get that point from?
I just picked it, but I wanted to pick the one that was on the unit circle because what does that tell me about what part of my triangle do I know?
Why are you saying it's
That the hypotenuse is
As opposed to being out here, which is not on the unit circle. Its distance is more than 1 away. So what is it, Kenley, what'd you say?
the hypotenuse is 1.
The hypotenuse is now 1. Because I've chosen that point on the unit circle, the hypotenuse length is 1. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
This side down here is still an x. This side is a y. So instead of picking a generic point on the ray that could be any distance away, I'm choosing to pick the point that's exactly 1 unit away from the origin. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Now I want to see what happens to these ratios when I land on the unit circle. So what happens to sine now? Sine is still opposite over hypotenuse. What's my opposite?
Y.
Y. What's my hypotenuse?
1.
What's y divided by 1? That simplifies to just y. Ooh, got rid of a variable. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse.
X over 1.
X over 1, which is just x. Tangent. TOA, O-A,
Y over X.
y over x. That one doesn't simplify. But, where, oh that's fine. Okay, let's flip them over. So these two got a lot easier. So it looks like when I know my ordered pair, if I know my ordered pair, the x part is the cosine, the y part is the sine, and if I divide the y by the x, I've got the tangent. So all my answers can come right from this ordered pair. I don't have to know anything about this because it's 1. Flip them over. Cosecant, 1 over y. So it's y flipped over. Secant would be what? 1 over x, so it's x flipped over. And cotangent? X over y. So the important thing to take away here is if you know the ordered pair, x is giving you the cosine of the angle, y is giving you the sine of the angle. If you're on the unit circle, the hypotenuse has to be 1 in order for this to be true. This is the big part. Are you still confused about this? And knowing that x is the cosine and y is the sine. That was the whole big point here. Yes? I'm just randomly picking this point to be exactly 1 away. Because I could pick any point along here and do my ratios, but I'd have to measure the distances and everything, but I'm choosing to pick the one that's exactly 1 unit away. So it puts me on the unit circle, because it simplifies everything. Yep.
So if it was 2 and 2, and stuff would be a 2.
If it was, wait, say again.
Like if, go
Over.
over again. No, just go down. Like the one, if that was 2 and the other one up there was 2.
2 into my points? I don't, okay, come on.
Come on.
Make it quick, 'cause we gotta get to the quiz.
Okay, so this was 2 and that was 2. Would this be 2?
Yes,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, you put the one, I thought that was like part of the.
Well, 'cause that was the unit circle. I started on the 1 away, and then like if I had a compass here, could've done it.
Okay, so
So you
it
said the
would,
unit circle equals 1.
The radius of the unit circle is 1. See, watch, here's,
No,
So that number
Oh.
can't be 2, right?
no. I thought he said if.
Wow.
That's not the unit circle. So my circle wasn't bad. Any point on that circle is 1 away from the origin.
Why does that not look like a real circle?
Okay, so I chose to pick the point that was exactly 1 away. Okay, I don't think you're gonna be able to do the worksheet I wanted you to be able to do, but we're gonna get to the quiz now.
Oh, darn.
Darn.
It's time for the quiz.
Okay, your half note cards can be out. If you made one.
Huh?
Half sheet, I should say. Half sheet.
Not at all.
The last problem involves a football field. Apparently, some people don't know about a football field. So I'll explain the football field to you.
Isn't that like? Let me guess. It's 100 yards long and each yard is 3 feet.
Nope, it's not even that.
Alright. Are we doing end zone?
No end zone.
Okay. Oh, geez, now you're confusing me. I don't really know how long that one is. I thought it was one of the big ones. I thought it was like 8.5 or something like that.
Oh, I got this. I forgot to hit stop.
I'll have to get it.